Igwe Obina, the ruler of the land, threw his head back and laughed. He laughed because a dirty, naked mad boy named Nneka was screaming at the gate of the royal palace. The boy's voice cracked like a broken clay pot. "Do not eat with her. Do not drink her wine. She is a snake. She swallowed the moon." The drums of the new Yam Festival were beating loud, borokok boroko, shaking the ground. The smell of roasting goat meat and spicy pepper soup filled the air, making mouths water from the market square to the stream. Everyone was there. The titled chiefs with their red caps and eagle feathers, the market women with their colorful wrappers, the young men with their muscles shining with oil. It was a day of joy. But in the center of the celebration stood Adana. She was just a maid, an orphan girl with nothing to her name but her dignity. Her hands were rough from work, her wrapper faded by the sun. Adana tried to hold the mad boy back. "Nneka, stop!" she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "They will kill you." Igwe Obina sat on his high throne, his leopard skin fan in his hand. Beside him sat Nneka. Nneka. She was beautiful, yes. Her skin glowed like polished camwood. Her head tie was tied so high it touched the clouds. Her gold jewelry sparkled in the sun, blinding anyone who looked too close. On the surface, she was the perfect queen. She smiled at the elders. She waved at the children. She looked like a goddess sent to bless Umo Ofe. But underneath was poison. Nneka's eyes narrowed as she looked at Adana holding the mad boy. She did not see a maid helping a child. She saw death staining her perfect fist. "Obina," Nneka said, her voice smooth like palm oil but dangerous like fire. "Why do you like this rat disturb our peace? Look at them. They smell of the gutter." The Igwe stopped laughing. He looked at his beautiful wife, blinded by her beauty. He looked at Adana, the girl who washed his clothes and cooked his meals. "Get them out," the Igwe commanded, waving his hand carelessly. He did not know that the mad boy was not begging. He was warning. The sky suddenly turned gray, the wind stopped blowing, and the first stone of tragedy was cast. It was early morning in the chief's compound. The rooster had just crowed, kukuruku, waking the village. The mist was still hanging low over the huts. Adana was at the outdoor tap, filling a large clay pot for the Igwe's bath. 3 other maids were sweeping the yard, their brooms making a swish-swish sound against the sand. Nneka stepped out of her hut. She looked fresh, rested. She saw Adana lifting the heavy pot with grace, her neck long and elegant despite the heavy load. Nneka felt a sharp stab of jealousy. Even in rags, this girl had the poise of a queen. Nneka walked over, her hips swaying. As Adana balanced the heavy pot on her head, Nneka extended her leg. Crash! The pot shattered into 1,000 pieces. The water soaked Adana's only good wrapper. Mud splashed onto her legs. "Are you blind?" Nneka screamed, her voice tearing through the quiet morning. "You clumsy fool! You want to kill the king with your incompetence? Look at you, a useless thing that cannot even carry water." She pointed a manicured finger at the broken clay. "Lick it up. Pick up every shard before the sun touches the roof. If I see one piece of clay, you will not eat today." Adana's chest tightened. The water was cold, but her face burned with heat. She wanted to say, "You tripped me." She wanted to scream, but she clamped her lips shut. The orphan has no voice, she thought. She lowered her eyes to the mud. 2 guards by the gate saw everything. "Now wow," one whispered in pidgin. "The Lolo wicked no be small." "Shh," the other hissed, turning his back. "You won't lose your job. See nothing, hear nothing." They looked away, leaving Adana alone in the puddle. Adana knelt in the mud, picking up sharp pieces of clay. Her fingers bled. The sun began to rise, heating the back of her neck. She was wet, dirty, and shivering. The first wound was opened. Later that mid-afternoon, in the royal kitchen, the air was thick with smoke and the rich aroma of a goosey soup. Adana was stirring a massive iron pot, her face sweating from the heat of the firewood. The cook, Mama Uche, had stepped out to buy salt. Nneka entered. She saw the delicious soup. She knew the Igwe loved Adana's cooking more than anyone else's. That praise was poison to her ears. Why should a slave cook better than a queen? She thought. Nneka scooped a handful of sand from the floor. Before Adana could turn, she threw it into the boiling soup. Witch! Nneka screamed suddenly. Help! She is poisoning the king! Adana spun around horrified. Lolo, no, I did nothing. Nneka slapped her. Gwa! The sound echoed in the kitchen. Don't lie to me, gutter girl. I saw you. You put juju in the food to steal my husband's heart. She grabbed the hot ladle and forced it against Adana's lips. Taste your evil. Taste it. Tears burned behind Adana's eyes. Her lip was cut. She stood shaking, the ladle burning her skin. God, do you see this? She asked silently. She pulled back, trembling, but said nothing. Mama Uche returned, dropping her salt. She saw the sand in the soup. Adana? She asked, confused. Don't look at her, Nneka commanded. Throw this soup away. This girl is a witch. Mama Uche looked at Adana with doubt. Gossip spreads fast. If the Lolo said it, maybe it was true. She shook her head and poured the food into the dust. Adana walked to the back of the hut. Her stomach grumbled with hunger. The smell of the wasted food made her dizzy. She sat on a log, holding her burnt lip. It was Eke market day. The market was full of noise, haggling traders, crying babies, clucking chickens. Adana was sent to buy stockfish. The sun was high and punishing. Adana was negotiating a good price. The traders smiled at her, admiring her bargaining skill. Nneka arrived with her entourage, wearing sunglasses and imported lace. She hated how the village accepted Adana. Nneka signaled her bodyguard. As Adana turned to pay, the guard slipped a gold necklace into Adana's basket. Thief! Nneka screamed, pointing. Someone catch this thief! The market froze. Nneka rushed forward and kicked over Adana's basket. The gold necklace fell out, shining in the dust. You steal from the palace? Is the food you eat not enough? You greedy rat! She turned to the crowd. Strip her. A thief does not deserve to wear clothes. Adana clutched her chest. Her breath came in short gasps. I didn't, but the words died in her throat. She wrapped her arms around herself, terrified. The market women gathered. Ah, Adana, one woman exclaimed. I no go believe her. See evidence now, another said, spitting on the ground. Now so them they do. Innocent face, devil heart. Tufiakwa, an old man exclaimed. Children of nowadays. Adana ran. She ran past the stores, past the mocking laughter. Her wrapper was torn where someone had grabbed it. Her feet were cut by stones. She hid behind the refuse dump, smelling the rot, wishing the ground would swallow her. By evening time at the village stream, the water was cool and clear. Girls were bathing and washing clothes, laughing and gossiping. Adana went downstream, far from the others, to wash the mud from her legs. Nneka had followed her with two of her friends from the city. They were bored. They wanted entertainment. Seeing Adana trying to be clean offended Nneka. Look at the mermaid of the gutter, Nneka laughed. She picked up a handful of thick black river mud. Splat! It hit Adana's clean back. You missed a spot, Nneka mocked. Her friends joined in, scooping up mud and slime, pelting Adana. Wash all you want, you will always be dirty, Nneka taunted. Your mother died in dirt, and you would die in dirt. Adana didn't turn around. She stood still in the water as the mud hit her. I am like the rock in the river, she told herself. The water flows over me, but I do not move. Tears mixed with the water stream. The other girls stopped bathing. They giggled nervously. Make una leave her now, one brave girl whispered, but not loud enough. She suppose fight back, another one whispered. Why she quiet so? They watched the bullying like a show, afraid to intervene. Adana waited until they left. The moon came out. She scrubbed her skin raw, but she still felt dirty.
The cold water seeped into her bones. She walked home shivering, the night sounds mocking her. Adana had a small patch of yam behind the servants' quarters. It was her only hope. She planned to sell the yams to buy a new dress for Christmas. The leaves were green and healthy. Nneka was walking the grounds with the Igwe. She saw the healthy farm. She saw the hope it represented. She could not allow it. "My husband," Nneka said, "this bush is too thick. Snakes are hiding here. It is dangerous for me." Igwe Obina looked at the farm. "But these are Adana's yams." "Is my life not much more than yams?" Nneka cried, squeezing out fake tears. "Or do you want the snake to bite your ear?" She touched her flat stomach, implying a pregnancy. The Igwe sighed. "Cut it down," he ordered the guards. Adana watched from the window as the guards slashed her hard work. Chop, chop, chop. Every swing of the machete cut her heart. Adana beat her knuckle until it bled to stop from screaming. Her investment, her hope, gone in seconds. She slid down the wall to the floor. The gardener, Papa Okeke, shook his head. "This woman is wicked," he muttered in Igbo. "To destroy food is a sin against the earth." But he kept cutting. He had children to feed. Adana walked through the ruined farm that night. The smell of cut leaves was sharp. She picked up a severed yam vine and wept. On Sunday, the whole village was in the church. The choir was singing praises. Adana sat in the back, wearing a white blouse she had sewn herself from scraps. It was the only clean thing she owned. Adana's voice was beautiful. As she sang the hymn, heads turned to listen. Nneka, sitting in the front row, felt the attention shift. Unacceptable.
As the congregation lined up for Thanksgiving offering, Nneka walked past Adana. She held a cup of red zobo drink. With a flick of her wrist, the red liquid splashed all over Adana's white chest. It looked like blood. "Oh no," Nneka gasped loudly, smiling with her eyes. "Look what you made me do. You are so clumsy, bumping into me like that." The music stopped. Everyone looked at the red stain. "Get out," Nneka hissed. "You are disrespecting the house of God with your filth." Adana looked down at the red stain spreading over her heart. She felt naked. She bowed her head to the altar, grabbed her Bible and ran. "Even in your house, Lord," she thought. The pastor paused. The choir whispered, "That girl brings bad luck everywhere," a deacon said. "But Nneka spilled it," a child whispered. "Shh, respect the Lolo," his mother scolded. Adana sat under the mango tree outside, listening to the muffled prayers. She couldn't go back in. The red ants beat her feet, but she didn't feel them. At a meeting of the village elders in the Obi, the Igwe was sick. He had a fever that wouldn't break. The mood was tense. Nneka needed to secure her position. If the Igwe died, she needed total control. She needed a scapegoat. Nneka dragged Adana into the center of the circle. "Here she is," Nneka proclaimed, "the cause of our king's sickness. I found this under her mat." It was a lie, planted by her. "She is a witch," Nneka screamed. "She wants to kill my husband." An elder stood up. "Adana, is this true?" "Confess," Nneka shouted. She grabbed a handful of ash and poured it on Adana's head, a traditional sign of a curse. "Confess, and maybe we won't burn you." Adana coughed in the cloud of ash. "I am not a witch," she said, her voice trembling. "I serve the Igwe with my life." The elders murmured. "We must consult the oracle," one said. "No time," Nneka argued. "Look at her eyes. They are the eyes of a destroyer." The villagers gathered at the wall, throwing stones. "Witch! Witch!" Adana was locked in the goat shed that night. The smell of manure filled her nose. She curled into a ball, the ash still in her hair, praying for death. The Igwe recovered slightly. Nneka convinced him that Adana's presence was blocking his full healing. It was the height of the rainy season. Thunder rumbled constantly. Adana tried to bring warm water to the Igwe. Nneka blocked the door. "He doesn't want you," Nneka sneered. "Pack your rags. You are leaving this compound today."
"But I have nowhere to go," Adana pleaded.
The rain. Go and live with the mad people. That is your family. Nneka pushed her out the heavy wooden gate. The guard slammed the bolt shut. Bam! Adana hammered on the wood. Please, Igwe, please. The rain started, a torrential downpour. It soaked her instantly. She slid down the wood, defeat settling in her marrow. A bolt of lightning lit up the village. No one opened their door. The fear of Nneka was greater than the fear of God. Adana walked into the bush. The mud sucked at her ankles. She found an abandoned hunter's shack with no roof. She huddled there, shivering, her teeth chattering like castanets. 3 days later, Adana was starving. Her ribs showed through her skin. She crept back to the back of the palace kitchen, hoping to find cassava peels. Nneka saw her from the balcony. She was eating a roasted chicken leg. Nneka whistled. She called the palace dogs. Bingo! Tiger! Come! She threw the chicken leg into the mud. The dogs rushed for it. If you want to eat, you fight them for it, Nneka laughed. That is your level now. Dog eat dog. Adana looked at the meat in the mud. Her stomach roared. But she stood up. She looked Nneka in the eye for the first time. She turned and walked away empty-handed. I am a human being, she thought. I will not die a dog. Emenike, the mad boy, was watching from the bushes. He did not laugh. He saw the cruelty. He saw the spirit of the woman. Adana collapsed near the bridge. The world was spinning. Black spots danced in her eyes. This was the end. Adana lay under the bridge. It was night. She was too weak to move. She heard voices above. It was Nneka and a man, the boatman. You must never tell anyone, Nneka's voice floated down. The first wife, Ugochi, making sure she drowned was the best job you ever did. I am queen now. But the boy, that mad boy, Emenike, I think he saw us that day by the river. He is mad, Nneka laughed. Who listens to children? Who listens to mad people? Let him rot. Adana froze. The truth. The terrible truth. Ugochi wasn't lost in an accident. She was murdered. And Nneka thought no one was listening.
Adana was the witness, and she was dying. Darkness took her. Her last thought was, God, if you are there, strike now. It was the darkest hour of the night, just before the first cock crow. Adana dragged herself to the foot of the ancient Iroko tree near the stream. The roots were twisted and deep. The air was heavy with the smell of wet earth and spirits. She knelt on the bare ground, her knees sinking into the soil. She didn't have the strength to shout. She pressed her forehead to the rough bark. Chimi, my God, she whispered. Her voice was like dry leaves. They call me a witch. They call me a thief. I have no mother to fight for me. I have no father to speak for me. Tears mixed with the dirt on her face. I don't want gold. I don't want the palace. I just want one person to believe me. Just one, please. If you are the God of the orphan, show yourself. I cannot fight Nneka. I am just dust. She raised her hands, trembling like reeds in the wind. Send help or take me home. Her energy finished. Adana fell forward, curling into the roots of the tree. The darkness swallowed her. In her sleep, she saw a white bird flying out of a dark cave. It circled her 3 times. Dawn broke with a grey light. Rain dripped from the leaves. Adana awoke to the sound of twigs snapping. She flinched, expecting a dog or a guard. Standing there was Emenike, the mad boy. He was covered in leaves, his hair matted with mud. He held a roasted yam in one hand and a calabash of water in the other. Emenike didn't scream or babble like usual. He looked at her with clear, sharp eyes. Adana, he said softly. She jumped. He never spoke names. You asked the tree for help, Emenike said. His voice was steady. I heard the tree call me. He handed her the yam. Eat, you need strength for the journey. How do you know my name? Adana stammered, taking the food with shaking hands. I see things. Emenike tapped his temple. I see the snake in the palace. I saw the boat tip over 2 years ago. I see you. Adana ate the yam ravenously. Life returned to her blood. Come, Emenike said. The dead are not dead. The lost are waiting. He pulled her up. Where are we going? To the place where the river breathes, he said mysteriously. God has prepared a table for you in the presence of your enemies. He led her deep into the evil forest, a place where villagers never went. Adana was afraid, but the boy walked with a holy confidence. The thorns did not scratch him. The snakes moved out of his path. Adana followed, her heart pounding a rhythm of hope.
They arrived at a hidden cave behind the waterfall. The noise of the water was deafening. Inside, it was dry and warm. Sitting on a mat, grinding herbs, was a woman. Her leg was twisted and scarred, but her face... Adana gasped. The air left her lungs. It was Lolo Ugochi, the first wife, the woman everyone said had drowned in the river 2 years ago. My queen, Adana whispered, falling to her knees. Ugochi looked up. Adana, is that little Adana? Ugochi wept as she held Adana. I did not drown. Nneka paid the boatman to capsize the canoe. The water carried me here. My leg was broken. I could not walk back. Emenike found me. He has been feeding me for 2 years. He is my guardian angel. Adana looked at the mad boy. He was smiling, rocking back and forth. She thinks she has won, Ugochi said, her eyes hardening. She is celebrating the new Yam Festival today. She thinks she will be crowned the only Lolo. The puzzle pieces clicked together. The cruelty, the fear. Nneka wasn't just mean, she was a murderer hiding in plain sight. Adana stood up. The fear was gone. In its place was a fire. Today is the festival, Adana said. Igwe Obina is in the square. I cannot walk well, Ugochi said, pointing to her leg. I will be your legs, and Emenike will be your voice. By sunset, Adana vowed, wiping her tears, Umuofe will know the truth. The village square was packed. The Iroko tree provided shade for the elders. The dust rose as dancers pounded the earth. It was the height of the new Yam Festival. The Igwe sat on his throne, looking weak but majestic. Lolo Nneka arrived in a sedan chair carried by 4 strong men. She wore expensive George fabric, layers of coral beads, and a towering head tie. She stepped out waving her horse-tail whisk. The crowd cheered, Lolo! Lolo! She soaked it up, laughing, throwing small coins to the children. She was the picture of victory. Then a hush fell over the back of the crowd. Adana entered. She was still in her dirty wrapper, but she walked tall. Beside her walked Emenike, the mad boy, washed and holding a long staff. People whispered, Is that the witch? Why is she here? Who let the mad boy in? Nneka saw them. Her smile vanished. Adana walked straight to the center of the square. The music stopped. Igwe, she called out. Her voice rang clear like a bell. How dare you? Nneka shrieked. Guards, throw this filth out. Kill them. Wait, the oldest elder raised his staff. Let us hear the girl. The fly that dances on the corpse must explain itself. Adana looked at the Igwe. My lord,
I have one question. Where is Lolo Ugochi? The crowd gasped. To mention the dead was taboo. Nneka laughed nervously. She is dead, drowned. Are you mad like your friend? Is she? Adana asked calmly.
Nneka stepped down from the dais. You are trying to spoil my day. You are cursed. You killed her with your witchcraft and now you want to kill me. Villagers stoned her. A few of Nneka's paid dogs picked up stones. Who will believe a gutter girl and a mad boy over a queen? Nneka shouted. I am the mother of this village. Nneka stepped forward. He closed his eyes. He opened his mouth. And then he spoke. But it wasn't his voice. It was Nneka's voice. Perfect. Identical. I paid the boatman to drown her so I can take the mansion. Make sure she does not come up. The crowd froze. It was the exact conversation from the bridge. Emenike had the gift of the parrot spirit. Nneka's face turned the color of ashes. That is a trick. Ventriloquism. Juju? If you do not believe the boy, Adana said, pointing to the entrance, believe your eyes. From the shadows of the palm trees, a figure emerged. She limped, leaning on a stick. Her hair was gray, her clothes made of leaves and animal skin. But everyone knew that face. Lolo Ugochi. A collective scream went up from the crowd. Mo! Ghost! Ghost! People ran back. The Igwe stood up, his hands shaking. Ugochi limped into the sunlight. She looked straight at Nneka. I am not a ghost, Nneka, Ugochi said. Her voice was weak, but commanded authority. I am the woman you tried to feed to the fishes. She pulled a small object from her neck, a distinct coral bead. You gave this to the boatman as payment. He dropped it when the boat tipped. I kept it. Nneka grabbed her own neck. The center bead of her necklace was missing. The bead Ugochi held matched perfectly. The market women started shouting first. Abomination! Wicked soul! She killed the rightful queen! The men stomped their feet. The children pointed. The tide turned instantly. Nneka backed away. No, it's a lie. She's a demon. Igwe Obina descended from his throne. He walked past Nneka as if she wasn't there. He went to Ugochi. He touched her face. He wept. Then he turned to Nneka. His face was a mask of fury. Nneka, he said quietly. The silence was deafening. Nneka, what do you have to say? Nneka fell to her knees. Her beautiful clothes suddenly looked like costumes. She cried, It was the devil. I did it for love. I wanted to be the only one for you. She crawled toward the Igwe. Forgive me. I am pregnant. Liar! Emenike shouted. In the village doctor's voice. She is barren. The womb is dry. Another secret revealed. The crowd roared. The chief priest stepped forward with the awful staff of justice. You treated Adana like a dog, the priest thundered. You treated the prince like a madman. You treated the queen like fish food. He struck the ground. Bam! From this day, you are stripped of your title. You are stripped of your name. You will walk into the evil forest. If the gods forgive you, you will live. If not, he let the sentence hang. The market women, the same ones Nneka had incited against Adana, rushed forward. They ripped the expensive head tie from Nneka's head. They pulled off the gold jewelry. They tore the lace. Go, they shouted. Go and meet your ancestors. Nneka, now in tatters, wailing and covering her head, was pushed out of the square. She stumbled toward the dark forest path, alone. No one followed. Even the dogs barked at her heels. Adana stood by Ugochi. She did not cheer. She did not smile. She watched Nneka leave with a heavy heart. She knew what it felt like to have nothing. She simply exhaled. A long, deep breath. The burden was gone. The sun began to set, painting the sky purple and gold. The fear lifted from Umuofe. The Igwe ordered a feast, a real feast this time. The elders came to Adana, bowing their heads. "We are sorry, my daughter," they said. "We were blind." Mama Oche, the cook, brought a bowl of fresh pounded yam and egusi soup with no sand in it. She knelt to present it. "Forgive me," she wept. Adana raised her up. "It is past," she said softly. "Let us eat." 6 months later, when the Harmattan winds returned to cool the land, Umuofe had changed. The palace was no longer a place of fear. Adana was no longer a maid. She was the palace manager. She wore clean, bright Ankara. She walked with her head high. The children ran to her for stories, not to mock her. Lolo Ugochi sat on the throne beside the Igwe, her leg healing, her heart full. And Emenike, the Igwe had adopted him. He was no longer the mad boy. He was in school, the smartest student in the village. His uniform was always pressed. He still had the gift of seeing things, but now he was the king's seer. One afternoon, Adana walked by the spot where Nneka had kicked her water pot. She paused. A young maid dropped a bucket nearby, terrified. Adana walked over. The girl flinched, expecting a slap. Instead, Adana picked up the bucket. "It is heavy," Adana smiled. "Let me help you lift it." The cycle of cruelty was broken. As for Nneka, the hunters say they sometimes hear a woman weeping in the deep forest, begging for water, but no one goes to look. There is an old saying in our land: truth is like a god floating on water. No matter how hard you try to push it down, it will always float back to the top. Nneka tried to bury the truth in the river and cover it with gold, but she forgot that even the smallest stone can break the biggest pot. Remember, the way you treat the person who can do nothing for you is the true measure of your character. If this story touched your heart, please press that subscribe button and share this video with your friends. It is not just a story, but a lesson for all of us. Share it to your family group chat. It will surely give you something deep to discuss over dinner tonight. Until next time.